and a drizzly, kind of cold day. You are listening to Radio Chiriqui 103.3, Talking with Your Doctor with Dr. Shannon Tour. Yes, I did remember. I remember
You remembered your name. Yes.
Yeah.
Victory.
It was like, pause. What are we doing here? Oh, yes. And today I have on the show Cynthia Slade.
Hi.
Yeah, everybody should know her by now, as well as Al Stefanelli. And I don't think I have to really introduce you guys more than that. I think everybody knows you.
We are who we are. We is.
Yeah,
what
I'm
it
the
is.
young 22-year-old.
That's right.
There we
You
go.
are.
There we go. Yes, I mean, I wouldn't put you
I
in
can do
anything.
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. And for those of you that can't see what's going on, they're playing with their hair. Yes. So
We'll leave it at that.
So anyway, how's everybody doing today?
We are. I'm doing great.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm at a point where I'm getting closer to my flight back to the States, and
Right,
I'm
you're-
feeling very torn.
Yeah, we don't want to lose you here. Oh, by the way, hi, Bolivar, our engineer today. Good morning.
You're handsome
Yes.
engineer.
Our
handsome
handsome
engineer.
engineer, yeah.
And we
yeah.
can't forget about Veronica down in David.
Oh, hi, Veronica. How you doing today? Anyway,
See,
she's
she
not
never
gonna
answers
answer.
us, man.
No, well, if she does, I can't hear her. Yeah, she's kind of far away. We're a little bit further from David. Yeah, I would take a really loud microphone to get her voice up here.
Well, we're gonna miss Cynthia.
We are.
I've
Yeah,
been
no, I tell
having
you
like lunches and video meetings with friends here, and and just talking to people that I have seen and not seen very much of over the last year and a half, and every time I have one, I go home sadder.
Uh-oh.
One part of me is really excited about going back to the States and spending time with my grandchildren, my older 2 grandchildren and my youngest 2 grandchildren, and then the new baby coming next month, and and family and friends there, and I'm excited to be able to do that. And the other side of me is, you're leaving Boquete? Are you crazy?
But you can always come back.
I plan on it.
Yeah.
I plan on coming back for at least a month every year.
Great,
Yeah.
great. You'll have to let us know.
Yeah.
We'll have
You
on.
can figure
Yeah.
it'll be
Yeah.
January or February.
Well, yeah.
That's a good time to come. So yeah, and hopefully by that time everything will have calmed down as far as COVID and restrictions and curfews and quarantines.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm headed to the States, and the newest thing in the States is if you've got 2 shots or the Johnson & Johnson, and it's been more than a couple
2
weeks since
yeah.
your last shot, you can go without a mask. And I'm thinking, okay, so how am I going to, because I'm unvaccinated at this point, I will be as soon as I get there, I'll start the process. How would I differentiate between standing next to someone who's been vaccinated and someone who doesn't believe in it?
Yeah, you won't know.
That's a
Yeah,
that-
Dan and I were talking about that yesterday or the day before or at some point about how are they, and it's not even necessarily which is a good point, who you're standing next to, but if you're out in the supermarket or you're out in a club or you're bowling or getting your hair done, that brings up the let me see your papers, young man. So
right.
if the authorities, whomever they may be, see you, do they have the authority to ask
No.
you for your
No.
they don't.
No.
So
and
it's
there is
kinda
no
like,
ID for it.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like the honor system.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
I mean, schools require that you show the vaccination card when you enroll your child.
Right, but
Right.
that's MMR and the
Uh-huh.
standard stuff.
And-
Would they require that? And when you start school, you're 5-6 years old,
Yeah.
and they're not vaccinating 5 and 6 year olds, at least not at this point.
Not at this point. They
You know.
will. They will eventually.
So it's nice that put that out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't have to have your mask if you're vaccinated,
Yeah.
but how do you follow through with that?
well, I mean, how many people are following through with masking anyways, especially in the States?
Well, yeah, that's true too.
Well,
So, I mean, the ones that aren't going to mask anyway. So you can't. That's part of the reason why I think if I go out, I'm still going to wear the mask. I'm fully vaccinated, and I'm still going to wear my mask out. I don't trust the new strains. I don't trust other people. Even though I'm protected 95% from getting sick, There's still a chance I could get sick. Probably not able to transmit it to anybody else. Probably not going to show any symptoms either. But with the new strains that you're seeing in India, we don't know yet how effective this is. We assume it's going to be just as effective against the newer strains.
I think, what's his name? From the
That guy. That guy from the place.
the guy from the States, the Dr.
Fauci.
Fauci. He said that from all indications, if you have had both shots or the Johnson & Johnson, even from the new strains, it is effective. And
It's
on the
supposed to
testing.
be. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be because the protein spikes on the outside of the virus don't change all that much between the different variations of the virus. But there are still the risk that one of these strains is going to be so different that it's not going to be covered.
Yeah, but hopefully, if you don't, I guess they have to mutate in a person. Isn't that correct?
They have to, yeah. Their spike protein has to mutate, is what it is.
And it doesn't mutate in the air.
No, it needs a host.
It needs a host. So
Yeah.
hopefully, as you reduce the number of people getting COVID,
Well, that's the
you
plan.
reduce the chance of it mutating
Changing.
into something
well,
even worse.
They try to preserve their own lives, so that's why they mutate. So that's what they're doing. It takes a while. Normally, it takes a while.
It's kind of like us.
Yeah.
If a bus is headed straight for us, we move.
Yeah.
Well,
They
it's-
do the
it's-
same?
that's
Yeah.
these viruses are a perfect example of microevolution.
Viruses, and they tend to mutate pretty quickly, but not
Yeah.
that quickly. Not month to month. Usually,
Right.
it's
Well, that's why every year the flu vaccine
Has
for the
three-
Top
normal
four,
flu,
three or
it's-
four strains,
yeah,
I think.
yeah.
and then they're not even sure if it's the right one.
No, you kind of know sort of how it's going to play out. So you play the guessing game. You put, usually it has two that are always the same, and then the other one varies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hope you're hitting the right ones, and even if not, you're at least partially protected and good to go. That's why they say the flu shot is only like 30 to 40% effective.
Yeah, because of that.
Yeah.
Well, it once any given area reaches that magic herd immunity, so that changes the whole game.
Yeah.
And obviously this is why they're pushing everyone to get these vaccines. Also,
have you heard that conspiracy theory going around that they shut down Cheaty Key and made the curfew to scare everyone so that they get their vaccines?
Yeah, I heard that. I've heard
Yeah.
that. I've read that. I've seen that. People have actually sat and told that to me to my face. And
Yeah, well, people are still telling me that there is no such thing as COVID, and
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
the people I know that died from it really didn't die from it. They all died from something else. And
well, it's like social media. Yay. It's
That
interesting
toxic
that
wasteland of social media.
so many people don't understand what a vaccination is. There's still a lot of people that think that vaccination is a cure.
Yeah.
It was never meant to be to be a cure.
No.
It's
And not all of them are 100% effective.
no, and
It's still a vaccine, even if it's not 100% effective in preventing.
and there's a general consensus going around in certain circles that people are avoiding taking this vaccine because they've been told it's an experiment. It's an experimental
Well, they say it's
vaccine.
experimental because it's not FDA approved. FDA approval is coming very soon, by the way.
Yeah.
I expect to see FDA approval very soon. They applied for it, I don't know, a few weeks ago for final approval.
Well, it's just funny, when you look at the definition of an experimental vaccine being not FDA approved, a lot of the same people who are avoiding taking, the vaccine because it hasn't been FDA approved and they're saying, well, this is an experimental vaccine, I don't want to take it, are the very same people that are using alternative medicine, homeopathy, and a lot of stuff that also has not been FDA approved. So
Right.
if you're not going to take the vaccine because it's not FDA approved, then get off the colloidal silver, get off all the other things, that you're using to try to improve your health. And that's not a dig or a support or a denial of any of
No.
that. It's in
Just common
principle,
sense, yeah.
if you're going to use the definition of experimental vaccine, then you really have to apply that evenly to everything that you're doing. You know.
Well, you do. You should do that.
Well,
you should
yeah,
apply it
but I'm just
evenly.
saying, you know, it's for an argument's point of view, you know, if you're injecting yourself or putting stuff in your body that is being touted as a cure or a medicine that isn't FDA approved, but yet you're having the same argument about the vaccine, that's disingenuous. It's not
You're right.
it's not a valid reason.
Yeah.
You may have valid reasons. You know, maybe you know, you've got a certain physical or condition that your doctor has told you
Yeah, if your doctor says- yeah.
vaccines aren't safe for you. Your best bet is to stay indoors and
Yeah.
blah blah blah. But that's a minority.
Yeah.
That's a minority. If we don't get to that herd immunity, this stuff's just going to keep coming back. And
I mean, it's probably going to be a yearly type vaccine.
More than likely,
we only
yeah.
know that. We already know that, just like the influenza vaccine.
Yeah.
But you know, it's not going to be as much of a rush. We should be able to get this under control, but I don't see it happening anytime soon because the vaccine rollout has been pretty
Spotty.
slow, spotty,
Spotty, yeah.
and there's so many people that either not getting it or not going back for their second shot.
Or not willing to even think about getting it, who just don't believe that it's necessary. And that's like in the States, I think they're saying it's up to almost 30% of the people
Yeah.
in the States are saying, no, I'm not going to get the vaccine.
Yeah,
And some of them are saying because Bill Gates is going to know what I'm doing in my life. Like he cares.
Do we have that kind of technology? Can we put little chips and stuff into a vaccine and have it float around our body? And
Well, you know, whether or not we could is pointless because 94 point something percent of the world is on smartphones.
Exactly, which are much more powerful than something that little that would be
Yeah,
able to.
so you know, why would you? It would be like, you know, putting ATV tires on a Yugo.
But I think
It doesn't make any sense.
I was
you know?
reading a tech page and they said, you know, that would pretty much it wouldn't be possible
Well, I mean, I guess anything is possible, but you know, something that's
at the moment. I
something
Not
that small,
probable.
even if they
Yeah.
were able to even if they were able to put a nano chip into a vaccine,
You still need a pretty big needle to throw
Well,
that into the
What
body.
would power it?
Even
Also.
if it had a little tiny itty bitty speck of a nuclear, I mean, you can go science fiction on this, but even
Yeah.
so, if it were possible to put a nano chip with a transmitter in it, it would go maybe 2 or 3 inches. You know, the technology isn't there for long range RFID signals on a microscopic
So they
microscopic
couldn't
chip.
trace you unless, you know, they had scanners everywhere and you had to.
They could trace you if they're standing right next to you.
I guess they could trace me a lot easier on my cell phone than
They do.
anything.
Yeah, they,
Yeah.
you know, just you walk around your house and you know you say, "Boy, you know, I could really use a pair of shoelaces." And then on every social media
Yeah.
feed you have ads for shoelaces. Coming. So you know.
Oh, great! Now I'm gonna get ads for shoelaces.
Yeah,
aren't
you
I?
will. You will.
Well, I was just saying that, you know, I was talking to you guys before we went on the air, and I was saying that I was talking to my son in Colorado, and his little girls like to dance to Maroon 5.
Yeah.
And so he's sitting at his house, and he's saying, and he goes, Alexa, play Maroon 5. And my Alexa turns on and plays Maroon 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Yeah, they hear
Yeah.
they hear that go word and they go.
And if
Yeah.
there's someone that you don't like, just go, you know, to their house, and when they're not home, they don't have to break in. They don't have to go on their property. But if they have an Alexa, right? All you got to do is yell things like eHarmony dating site, you know, my new Pornhub subscription, and then you know they'll be on their feed, and you know, and it'll show up there.
Great.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna get this things coming up on my phone.
Yeah.
Thanks, Al.
All your listeners too. I'm sorry about that, but you know, keep an eye on your feeds.
Yeah, I guess you could program Alexa to play a certain song every hour or so,
Yeah.
or every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell
Or
her-
set off all your alarm. There's a lot of things in the tech world that can be done that are insidious or sometimes funny, depending on your sense of humor.
I add to my oldest son, I've added to his Alexa's shopping list.
Mm-hmm.
A few days before I arrive, I'll add the things I want them to have in the house.
Yeah.
And that works.
This is one reason why all of my Alexa devices and my Google Home, it's all tuned to my voice. So I can't have anyone come up to my window and say, you know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, Alexa, shuffle Slayer songs. Volume up. It's
Alexa,
It'd be pretty hard from
Alexa,
outside the
set an
house.
alarm for 3 a.m.
Yeah.
no, it's funny because when one of my dogs gets out, and we'll be out there barking at 2:00 in the morning, and if I forget to put the dog door on. And you don't want your dog out barking at 2:00 in the morning.
Nobody wants your dog out.
So you
2
just
o'clock in
lean
the morning.
over and say, Alexa, play a barking dog, and then the barking comes from inside the house, and the dog comes back in.
No, that's funny.
Oh, that's cool.
My dogs would be dumb. They'd go outside looking for the dog that was barking inside.
Yeah. My dogs bark at the sound of a doorbell on TV.
Yeah, mine do too.
We've never had a doorbell.
That's so weird.
We've never, in 30 years of marriage and having dogs, we've never had a doorbell. And yet, when the doorbell rings on TV, my dogs go ape,
Yeah, I have a Ring doorbell, so that's not even the typical doorbell sound.
Yeah.
So when they hear a regular doorbell, the older one, he's heard a regular doorbell sound before. He doesn't react as much, though, because he knows that it's not in this house. But the other one, the one that we just got like a year ago,
Oh, the little one.
the little one, the little guy, the 100-pound little guy, he'll hear a doorbell, a regular old doorbell noise on TV, and it'll set him off, and he'll go look out the door. How does he know this? Is it like
I don't know.
instinct?
Genetics.
Maybe we can do a Pavlov's dog experiment on a wide scale, like for an entire population, and then have the reaction, instead of being salivate, have it be, just have it be an uncontrollable
Frenzy?
an uncontrollable.
Yeah, what would you want an animal to do?
No, this is on do it on humans, right?
Oh, humans.
So then so
Well, that
instead,
sounds very
instead of
insidious.
instead of the response being salivating, you can have the response being an uncontrolled,
Gladys.
Wait a
feeling
minute,
of-
what would
to
you
get
use
a-
as the experiment?
to get a vaccination.
What would to
Right?
get a
To
vaccine?
get a
Oh, well, I think that's
vaccination,
kind of
yeah.
like illegal.
They're doing it in the States with money.
With money.
No, they
that's
are.
kind
They're,
of like the
they're
subliminal.
telling people they're giving them $100 in some places to get
Oh no, in
vaccinated.
Ohio it's $1 million. You
million?
can
Well,
win
that's
$1
a
million.
chance to win $1 million.
Yeah, a chance to win $1 million.
Yeah, but some places are actually giving Uber, I think, is giving free rides to people to
Yes.
get vaccinated.
Yes.
I'll
are.
probably take
But
advantage
Ohio
of that.
doesn't have that many people vaccinated, so I mean, somebody's got a pretty good. There's going to be 5 people getting $1 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, talking about getting vaccinated,
Uh huh.
what do you think? What do you think the dates are here? I mean, Volcan started already.
Right, and I heard that the 19th through the 22nd, they're going to be doing a lot more in David, in Boquerón. I think probably by the end of the month they're going to do up here.
So I might be able to get my first shot here.
That'd be cool.
And I
And
already.
they'll probably let you do your second over there, right?
Well, I called just to make sure
Uh-huh.
that if I get my first shot here, I can get my second there. And they said, yes, but I need to get the Pfizer here. I can't get anything else. I need to get the Pfizer, and I need to know the lot number and every other number about the shot that I get.
Right.
Do they give you that information when you get the shot
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
I think
Good.
they
They
have
do.
to. I think
Yeah.
that's a WHO standard, and Panama follows PAHO, which follows
Yeah.
the WHO. So if I had to imagine,
In fact, my vaccination is now not public record, but it's on my own private account with the government here. So I can pull it up anywhere, and it gives lot number, it gives the dates that I got the 2 shots, even the hour that I got the shot, or the hour that they put it into the system, one or the other.
All right.
And it's available there. You know, I've got my card, but I've also got it electronically, so it's official.
official. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I now can go online, and the Safeway stores in Colorado are giving the shot, and I can actually make an appointment for June or July, but I need to know when I need it, so I have to wait until
Go
I get
pick
a
up
shot
your
here.
orange juice, and at the same time, get your shot.
Well, they'll be. I think they're here in Panama. They're distributing the vaccines at schools.
Well, no, yeah, at schools,
A
they're
lot
applying
of
them
them.
because it's a nice big open area.
Yeah.
It's always the nurses. It's always MENSA nurses
Yeah.
that are specially trained to give shots. There's a whole team of nurses that only gives
Well, here
immunizations.
we have the school here up behind Baru, which is a good size. That's where we dropped off a lot of supplies when the hurricane.
Yeah.
I
came
believe
with the
that's one of
hurricane.
the schools that they're looking at,
Yeah.
and also the
The
gymnasium.
The
yeah.
Gymnasium on
yeah.
your way out.
The yellow
The-
one
Yeah.
on the river. Well,
Yeah,
the
they were
back
talking
road
something
there.
about that. Yeah.
So either one, I mean, there's 20-something thousand people, 28,000 people that live in Boquete,
Yeah.
of the Boquete district.
Yeah, but how many of those are above 60?
And well, I think that those are adults over whatever age.
20,000 over 60? I don't
No,
think
I
so.
think
No,
the
no,
entire
that's
population is
the-
about
the
20,
entire
25,
population,
28. Yeah.
You know, and
And there's
we
a
are-
pretty high group, a pretty high population of 60 and over. Excuse me.
Especially in the,
especially in the Boquete
expat.
district. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
almost
I mean-
6,000 expats just in Boquete.
Yeah.
So you got to figure, because it's a retirement destination, it's going to be a higher percentage.
Yeah.
And those are the people that really need to we all have our
But
stories,
we all know
so
there's
we know
a, and
people
we all
who
know
have
there's a
refused it,
good
and-
percentage of that community that's going to say, no, I'm not going to vaccinate.
and that's
it."
very possible,
Yeah.
and that's their
Which is
choice,
okay, because then
you
I can
know?
get it sooner.
Yeah,
Well, there's also at the moment we've had an outbreak in both Alto and Bajo Boquete, and the last I heard, which was a couple of days ago, or maybe it was yesterday, over 100 active cases in the community.
yeah.
In Bajo.
Between Alto, Bajo, Jaramillo, and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Palmira.
Yeah.
In our local area, over 100. And no, they're not all on the farms.
They're not all indigenous. They're not
No,
all,
no.
transplanted from Bocas del Toro, and
No.
you can split.
These are
hairs on
actually
this,
there's
you know.
actually tourists that are bringing. They test negative before they come, and then they arrive, and then they start to show symptoms. And these tourists, yeah, they're also bringing it.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
So- They're going to the restaurants. They're going to the supermarkets. Go to the
I mean,
supermarket, pick up your COVID.
it's really easy to, I guess, to split hairs on this, because you'll see a post out, whether it be on Minsa or one of the one of the local TV channels, where they'll post a story about infection rates or what have you.
Yeah,
And that.
never fails. Somebody says that's always on the farms.
Well, yeah, that too. But it's kind of like, all right, say you've got something that applies to a percentage of the population. So you're talking maybe, say, 500,000 people, right? This has happened has affected 500,000 people,
Yeah.
and then you'll get someone. Well, I know one person that it happened differently to.
Yeah.
And yes, that's
There's
obviously
variations,
there's
yeah.
variations, but you splitting hairs on things like reactions to vaccines.
Yeah.
For the way I process information, which might not be the way other people do, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters to that individual.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to really, you don't want most people to be
Right. It's kind of like the
negatively
people
affected.
that said it doesn't matter. The death count is so low. Well, it matters to somebody.
Yeah.
That
So
their
yeah,
relatives
so
died from COVID.
if you've got a 95% rate of effectiveness on a vaccine, and then
And a very low percentage of secondary.
a very low percentage.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to take the vaccine because there's a 5% chance it won't work, right? And then
Well,
you compare that to
yeah.
you not wanting to take the vaccine because 0.0000006% of the people had a blood clot, or whatever. You're comparing apples to oranges.
Well,
It's-
yeah,
it's
yes and no, because
statistically non-existent.
Hey guys, I just want to
If
send a
you're-
shout out. I just heard that we have a listener in Scotland.
oh, cool.
My buddy Grant is listening. Hi,
Hi,
Grant.
Welcome to the show, Grant. Yeah.
No, but there's always an exception to the rule.
Right, and the
and that
exception.
and the exception is what proves the rule in most cases.
Well, yeah, but that's that a lot of people don't look at it that way, and that's where you run into problems. Well, I'm not going to get the vaccine because out of 7 million people, 6 people got blood clots.
Okay, so got the different. There's an alternative vaccine for you to take then.
Yeah.
You don't have to take AstraZeneca. You don't have to take Johnson and Johnson.
Right.
You can take Moderna. You can take something else.
Yeah,
I mean,
you don't.
think.
Nobody's forcing anybody to take any single vaccine. You can
No.
pick and choose. Here right now, what we have is Pfizer.
Well, we also have AstraZeneca
Uh-huh.
on a volunteer basis.
On a voluntary basis, and there's been a couple of people up here that has signed up for the AstraZeneca in David, and they got appointments for this week.
Yes.
So
and I know someone that is not within the age group for it and really wants to get it because getting that would be
better than not having it.
much better than waiting a year or two until maybe her age group is in that capable of
I don't
getting
think it'll be
shot.
a year or two, but yeah.
Well, it'll be, it'll be
No,
a while.
I think because they ordered how many million new doses of Pfizer to come in. I think the only problem is logistics, because you can only keep the defrosted. Excuse me, I gotta.
Bless you.
You can only keep. Sorry about that.
Sneezing with your doctor.
Yes. Don't jinx me. Okay.
La Briute.
The vaccine, after you open it up, it has a 6-hour period in which it can be used.
Right.
After that, it can't be used anymore. You can't put it back in the fridge. You can't. It's whatever doses are left is lost.
Yeah.
So therefore, they have to know exactly how many people are showing up, exactly how many vials that they need to start to defrost. Once it's defrosted, they have to use it.
Wow.
So that's the problem.
Which, for in the beginning in the States, you could actually wait in line, and when all the appointment people went through, those that didn't show up for an appointment and you were there, you got the vaccine.
Yeah, because it had to be used.
Right.
Otherwise, they lost it.
I have friends that did that.
Exactly. So that's part of the problem as well. That's part of the issue, is the logistics. I mean, that's why they want everybody to try and register and sign up, so they know how many to bring, because you have to take it out a couple hours beforehand so that it is defrosted enough to use.
Right.
So
Can't put frozen serum in my arm.
hard to draw frozen serum up. Yeah. No, and so that's part of the problem. I mean, if people sign up and then don't go and they're expecting you to go, I'm sure there's going to be someone there that wants it, that'll be able to get it.
Yeah,
But
it's like flying standby.
kind of, yeah. When I got my vaccines, I went to Portobello and did it with the Red Cross. And when I got mine, they had a couple extra doses left over, and I think they were able to, apply them to other people that hadn't been registered at the moment with the Red Cross. I'm not sure exactly the logistics and how they can do it, but I guess
Much better to give it than waste it.
than to waste
Much
it. Yeah,
better.
yeah.
I mean, let's put it this way. Panama is not the wealthiest country in the world, and they've spent buco bucks buying this vaccine, which they're
Lots
giving
of
away
vaccines.
for free.
Then they give it away for free. Yep.
And
All
to
their
waste
vaccines
it-
are free.
And to waste it is obscene.
Yeah.
Absolutely obscene. What was it in the States a couple months ago? Somebody actually destroyed
Like
doses of it?
7,000 doses or something like that.
Conspiracy
How
theorists
Yeah.
evil!
did
Yeah.
How
that.
evil is that?
Yeah.
But on the other side of that coin, there were stories about, where you have to defrost them a couple of hours before, and then the transport, the transport vehicle and the medical staff got, their vehicle got disabled, or they got stuck in traffic, and they got out and were going up and down in between the cars,
Yeah. Offering the vaccine.
offering the vaccine, because
Wow.
give it to somebody rather than waste it.
Wow.
Well, if you're going to be there for at least 6 hours, or who knows when they took it out to defrost it,
Right.
and
Yeah.
they knew they had to use it.
Well, I
otherwise
think
they'd lose it.
the way the story read is they were within under an hour,
Wow.
and they were stuck in traffic.
Yeah,
so they
gotta
got
use
out
it,
and
yeah.
they offered the vaccines.
I
to
hope they
people.
they probably weren't able to use all of it.
Probably not, but at least some is better than nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
Even if they got one dose given,
I
it's
think
better than
Volpette
nothing.
is what 4-5.
Yes.
I think we're 4-5.
Yeah. Circuit 4 or 5.
A friend of mine told me a few days ago that she had gone to Volcan and got her vaccine
Right.
in Volcan. And so people have asked me, hey, can I do that? Can I drive down to David and get my vaccine? And I had to answer, I don't know. I have
Yeah.
no idea if you can do that.
As far as I know, no, I've gotten a lot of questions about Panama too. You have to be a resident of the area you get it. You know, if somebody uses a friend's address or something, I don't know. But, you know, it's a little bit harder. You know, basically you're taking away the doses that are meant for that community.
I know that there are a couple of cases here where people, when they went to register for getting the shot, the translation for Boquete wasn't real clear.
Yeah.
And so they figured they'd take the closest city, which was David,
Uh-huh.
and they were given appointments in David.
Yeah.
And they should take them because they're not on the list for
Yeah.
here, so they
and
should
I
go
haven't-
get
I
them.
haven't gotten any emails yet from, you know, Day and I registered.
Yeah.
And I haven't
There's also a
gotten-
site you can go and check
Yeah.
and see if you have an
Verificate
appointment
that-
yet. And I check that every few
Yeah.
days just to see.
Yeah. It won't happen until they announce that this area is
Right.
coming up.
And you know where to find that announcement.
But yeah, but try to make your appointments in the area you live so that the people that need it in the other areas can get it.
Yeah.
Because there's some people, I mean, yeah, they'll bring more doses, but they only have a limited amount of doses for each area.
Right. Well, I think that was purely errors because
yeah,
of
no, I don't
language.
think it was
You know,
malicious.
Google
Yeah.
Translate is a very strange thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, any kind of a machine translation. You know, when I post the news and the stats, I start off with
There's some weird stuff that comes out
I
on
know.
your translation.
I start off with the machine translation because my Spanish I'm not fluent, but I know how the grammar sentence structure works. So I will go through the entire translation and split sentences up where there need to put commas in, where there need to be periods.
I still
and
see
whatever.
some weird words
but
in there.
but
or
sometimes-
Sometimes the verbiage is.
it doesn't matter. Yeah.
But sometimes things slip through, and the latest one was I missed putting an ampersand, an and sign,
Uh-huh.
in between people over 60 and pregnant women. And it
Over 60
translated,
pregnant.
yeah, women over 60 and pregnant, and you know, I mean, I've been doing this 434
Can that happen?
days in a row, you know, and
Yeah, sure.
That's scary.
I mean,
That's very
probably
scary.
not naturally, probably in vitro, but
Yeah. yeah,
That's just too scary.
but you know, things do get lost in the translate,
They
and,
do.
and I really,
read some things and I'm like,
yeah,
this should have probably been written
Yeah.
like this, but I mean, who's got the patience to try and figure it out?
and I can only spend so much time. It takes me
Yeah.
a couple hours every day
Yeah.
just to do that.
I
and
know you do.
I try not to let things get by, and if I happen to be
No, you
around
do.
someone, I'll say, hey, can you just take a quick look at this? But most of the time, I'm sitting out back of my house, you know, with my two phones and doing my thing. But
No, you do a great job.
It's
a great
always
job.
good though if you read something that I translate and you're not 100% sure, click on the link because the
Yeah.
link will always go back to the original Spanish.
Right.
And if you know someone here
Have
that
them read
speaks
it,
Spanish,
yeah.
just say, can you do me a favor? What is this? You know, what does this mean? Because yeah, you know, when you're talking about you know, medical things and governmental procedures, it really is important to be able to get that precise, correct information. You know.
Al, do you know how much the community relies on you for information?
You know, I don't know. You know,
There are people who come up to me and they, you know, and I'll mention your name and they go, oh, he's amazing. He gives us, we trust him for information about what's going on. I mean, seriously, you do a service that's unbelievable for these
He does,
you know,
he does, but he might be a doctor, but he can't answer medical
I can't.
questions.
I'm not that kind of a doctor. No, you know, and it's funny though because when I
And you also, Shannon, do a great
Yeah.
service by this program.
when I started this,
Thank you.
and I think you were right there with me in the beginning. You know, when I started doing this, it was just because I noticed on the Facebook, the community pages. You know, there's a few out there, to where there was a lot of misinformation, and
And
wasn't
confusion.
and it wasn't being done maliciously.
Yeah.
It was, you know, trying to read something from a purely mechanical translation, or I don't know which is more
Well,
inaccurate.
some of those
you
things
know.
that were put up by Minsa, especially in the beginning,
Yeah.
were even to people that know Spanish. I know,
Yeah.
I claim to know quite a bit of Spanish,
Yeah.
but my husband, he's like a native speaker, so he'll look at it too, and both of us would be like, well, it
yeah,
could
that's-
be either this or it could mean this.
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah, and
Oh.
then that
still happens.
That still
yeah,
happens.
but not as
you
much
know.
as it used to.
So my goal was just really to give the non-Spanish speaking community, whether they're from North America or Europe, as close to as accurate information as possible. And
And it was a lot of work.
I didn't really think that it was going to be more than
A couple of months.
a couple of months, and here we are, 430 something days, later.
Well, we
but,
kept hearing it's going to disappear, or it's not even going to come here, or when it gets
well,
here, it won't
for
be
a
bad.
while, Boquete was almost the first few months or so, seemingly almost unaffected.
I think there was also like a lack of recognizing the symptoms and a lack of testing.
Yeah.
We didn't have that, so we probably did have more cases.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah. But I know everybody was looking at when Mincy used to put the graphs up, with the little circles and here, and there was never anything up here, and everyone was under the false sense of security. Oh,
Yeah.
we don't have anything up
Yeah.
here. And then when the first 12 cases hit from that one family out by Caldera, well, people started to notice a little bit, and then one popped up in Los Anjos, and then one popped up in
Yeah.
Alto Kiel,
And
then,
it wasn't only one.
and it wasn't only one. So
If there's one, there's more.
It's
Kind of like cockroaches.
yeah. It's always important, I think. To,
Sorry, that didn't sound right.
It's interesting.
That's okay. I refer to
Okay, then.
I refer to the ladies who are taking over your show.
Yeah.
On my show yesterday, I referred to them as the two gals with the D's. And that did
He's like,
not-
oops.
oops.
This is a family
Okay.
show.
No 5-second delay here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oops.
I wasn't, okay, just so I don't get any hate mail or messages, I wasn't referring to anybody that gets COVID as cockroaches. Just, that's the
That's good.
comparison that came into my mind. When you find one, you find more.
Right? Yeah. No, I get it. That's important. It's a
Kind of like
disclaimer.
ants.
Yeah, no nasty messages, please. I didn't mean it that way.
Oh, come on. I wanted to send you an instant message. Can't I please?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
You're
I'll send you two.
Okay.
Ooh. I'll go 3 then.
Fine. Let's just barrage her.
I know, right? Putting phone on silence now.
Yeah, it occurs to me that with the vaccine, there are, I think you've got a few basic personality types. You have people who are genuinely looking for information, and a lot of people might not understand. Like the three of us here, and as well as a lot of people in town, we have pretty good critical thinking skills. We can look stuff up and whatever. But a lot of people don't have that,
Yeah.
and that's not a dig. That's not a disparaging comment. It's just some people don't have that, that...
Oh, trust me, in the beginning, the
that-
information that was coming out was
Yeah.
so wishy-washy that, I questioned, I could ask 5 different doctors, their opinions.
And you get
all-
5 different opinions.
5 different
yeah.
opinions. So.
but-
Sometimes it's hard to get, something from information from column A and information from column B, and try to figure out
Yeah.
how those two mesh together, where they mesh together and where they disagree.
Right.
And it can be very confusing to people, especially people who have lots of friends who share
Misinformation.
incomplete information.
Yeah.
Let's put it that
Well,
way.
sometimes
Well,
you
some
have
of it is
column A.
incomplete, and some of it is just straight up
Yeah.
misinformation.
Sometimes
Well,
you
yeah.
have column A and column B, and column A is just complete wrong misinformation, and column B might be accurate.
Uh-huh.
And
You're looking at both of them, you're like, okay.
but they're being compared as two genuine, equal.
You mean like
equal-
opinion and fact?
Like opinion and fact, right? So
But
you,
some people
yeah.
also tend not to trust, certain medical sites or certain other informational sites. They go to the ones that they know and they use for all their other news.
Right. Yeah. Well,
And-
and that's the thing.
Yeah.
Where do you get your information from?
Do you look up the
you know,
sources that wrote that article?
It's fine. It's great to have to want to find information out. It's fantastic. I think to have that part of a personality. Well,
you
look,
can find
I-
anything to support your
yeah,
own
yeah.
opinion.
I want this information, but if you're going to areas or to sources that aren't peer-reviewed medical
Yeah.
sources or accepted scientific principles or whatever, you could end up getting lost down a spider hole, and
Yeah.
it's hard to come
Because
back from
it's
that.
also how you look up the information. If you want to know the safety of the vaccine, you look up safety vaccine, CDC, WHO, or whatever, instead of saying deaths from vaccine. If you say deaths from vaccine, you're going to get a whole array of information that is probably not accurate, probably not analyzed,
And
Right.
probably not from
and probably not from good
valid
sources.
sources.
And even if they are, they might not even be analyzed. Somebody can get some information from a valid source and put their own spin on it.
the one
Well,
that
happens
drives
with
me
the
crazy.
CDC a lot
Yeah.
too. You look at the CDC itself said that the vaccine doesn't work, but that's out of context.
Yeah.
And when you dig deep into that, when you look at the actual document, most people, when their Uncle Ernie sends them, hey, look at this from the CDC. It's one paragraph out of one page of a
They don't even
600
read the paragraph,
of a
the headline
600
only.
Yeah,
page,
you can't do
research
that.
document.
You can't read
Context
one page of
is
a book
important.
and know what that book is about.
Here's the one that drives me crazy is when people say, well, there really isn't a death rate from COVID because look at the number of people that died in comparison with years prior.
Yeah.
And that's not possible. You can't compare the two.
No, you can't.
And yet
It's
they
different
try to make it
situation.
as, granted, a percentage of population dies every year.
Yeah.
But you can't, but in a year where you're in quarantine, you're less likely to die from some other things. You're more likely to die from,
But actually, they're still finding a surplus of deaths. And when they say surplus of deaths over the normal average for a country,
right.
they are still finding a surplus.
Yes, but then people are turning around and saying, oh, it's only a 2% a 1% or 2% surplus, therefore it's not as deadly as a disease. Or the one that really kills me is the government pays them money to say it's a COVID death.
Yeah. That's not true.
Governments don't pay hospitals money for deaths.
No.
End of subject.
No.
No, there are procedures that, like with Medicaid, they're reimbursed a certain amount based on how they code.
Based on each code, yeah.
Based on each code, but that's always been that way.
Yeah, it's not
That's-
just for
that's-
one illness, it's
yeah,
for
it
any
doesn't.
illness.
And a lot
yeah.
of people also really don't understand how death certificates
Yeah.
are coded, how they're filled out.
Yeah.
There's a primary and a secondary, and sometimes even
And,
tertiary
and the
cause
primary
of death.
is always cardiorespiratory failure. That's always how you
Yeah.
die. Your heart, you
Tends
you
when
stop-
your heart stops.
You stop breathing.
That's
That's your primary cause, and then the secondary causes are
what contributed to
Yeah.
it. What caused it.
But
You
when
know-
you go back to the coding for Medicare and other insurance, the coding isn't necessarily COVID. The coding would be oxygen. The coding would be for
Yeah.
emergency room. The coding isn't for the disease itself. It's always for what supplies were used
what
in
supplies
it.
were used. But yeah, that's true. But there is a code for each illness, disease, injury,
Right.
what have you. That is the ICD code.
Right.
That's something totally different.
Yes, but it's not what they use to get paid for.
No, not really. No, but they do know the diagnoses, and then they know that
Right.
if they're going to cover it or not cover it.
Right.
And then they have all the codes for all the materials and
Right.
tests done.
Like if you have insurance that only pays for certain things
Right,
and you
exactly.
go in because you want an eyelid lifted,
And also, that's
they're
how
not
they
gonna-
do their epidemiology, is with the codes and finding out what each person died from.
right.
And then there's the other, you don't see heart attacks anymore. You don't see cancer anymore. You don't see
Of course you do.
flu anymore. Have you seen how many cases of flu? Yeah, we're all wearing masks and we're all quarantining and we're all staying 6 feet apart. You're not as likely to get the flu because it's not as contagious as COVID is.
Yeah, you're not going to have as many deaths by car accidents when
When you're shut down.
when you're shut down and locked down, 24/7.
Yeah.
So but see these bits of information or these reasons and causes are usually not included
Yeah.
in, look, there's been an 80% drop in flu deaths and an 80% increase in COVID deaths. So now they're just reclassifying the flu
Yeah, no,
as
not true.
COVID.
Not
and,
true.
just because something makes sense when it
Yeah.
comes out of your mouth doesn't mean that it's correct.
Yeah.
I have, when my kids
And I've
were
sent
young,
plenty of
this
people
thing.
to the hospital with heart attacks or possible heart attacks and other conditions. So, I mean, Yeah, it's not true that that we're not getting deaths and we're not getting other
And compare, also, compare. And I've seen these lists, right? So you're scrolling through, you're doom scrolling through Facebook, and here's a list. People that died of cancer, 900,000. People that died of car wrecks. People that died of this, and it's always like 8, 9, 4 million, 2 million, 1 million, and there's always that one on the bottom. The word that we're not allowed to say. 120 million, and it's, even if you didn't have that last one on there, what's the point of comparing? Where's the connection? Where's the correlation between someone who dies in a car wreck to someone who dies of COVID, or someone who dies of cancer, or someone who dies of deep vein thrombosis, or whatever the heck it might be? Comparing one cause of death to another doesn't give either validity or invalidity to any other cause of death.
And something like COVID that we're trying to prevent, something that we're, for car wreck deaths, we're already trying to control it. Speed limits, seat belts, safety features in cars, fixing up the roads, all those kind of traffic regulations, stoplights, stop signs. Those are all there to help prevent the deaths.
Right.
So without those, we'd have many more deaths.
Right.
Same with the other illnesses. You can't compare a trauma death to a viral death.
Well, no, but they do all the time. It's done all the time, and it's a disingenuous comparison.
It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have one to do with the other. And saying, well, the disease only kills maybe 2% of the population or 3%. It was, for a while, it was, in other countries, it was like 5% of the population. Look at India right now.
Yeah, well, that's a mess over there.
That's a mess.
I just got a text from someone
Ooh.
that said that they've just heard about vaccines in David. They're on their way there, and they don't know how long of a wait they'll have till they get it.
I thought it was the 19th, and if you don't have an appointment, you probably won't get it.
Yeah, you really should put. I got the website. I'll post it again on Facebook. The website where to go to register.
Because they won't give it to you unless you're on the list. Trust me. If I wasn't on the list when I went to go get mine, they were not going to give it to me. I had to show my ID. I had to answer questions about my address, about everything. So if you're not on the list, you can go down there, but it's kind of in vain. It's not like a rapid.
Again, I'm wondering if they also, there were a lot of people here who don't. Then they had to translate the pages, and they didn't understand what Boquete translated to, and they did.
But then there was also people that thought they already had appointments because they didn't understand the response they got when they registered.
Yes, because they took the month as the date, and the date, they reversed the date. My next door neighbor did that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you don't have an appointment for August.
Yeah.
And you can go to vacunas.panamasolidario.gov.pa. And that gives you a whole list of things.
And the one that says Verificate, that's the one where you verify if you got an appointment or not.
So you can register, you can online, vaccination information online to verify. There's also what they call fast cars, the drive-thrus.
Yeah, but that's still for people that are registered.
Yeah. And then Citas Web, you can an appointment.
The Citas Web apparently is for the AstraZeneca,
yeah. So, and if you open this up in Google, it'll automatically translate it to English. But
there's also one site you go to, and it just says whether you have an appointment or not.
Yeah, you just type in
and that's the easiest one to go to.
Yeah. Well, this seems to be the new catch-all. And it says verify, you just hit verify, and it asks you your cedula, and then it pulls up your information or your passport. Now they seem to have streamlined it. They seem to have fixed some of the problems with the with the registration. Yeah. But if you're not registered, you're not going to be on the list to get it. It's not like when they say, okay, we're bringing it to the stadium in Miami. Anybody that wants one, come see and wait in line. No, it's not like that here. You have to have an appointment.
Yeah. Makes sense.
You can't just walk into a.
No, even if it says rapid
if they get it, more power to them. I don't have a problem.
No,
I don't have a problem with people being vaccinated.
Oh no, quite the opposite. But just know, if you're running down there just because you heard it's arriving to a certain school or a certain place, unless you're registered for that place for that date.
It's a wasted trip.
Aren't they
Yeah.
giving hours also and time to be there? 'Cause they're
They
saying
give
don't
an estimated time, I think.
Yeah.
Because they want to do it. I'm sure they want to do it in phases, not to have that many people there all at once.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So just because it's
Hey,
a ride.
I heard a rumor that
Bochinche.
yes, and I'm
Oh, we're all about rumors
I'm
here.
heard a rumor. Should I spell rumor, folks? This is not fact. This is rumor. I'm going to repeat rumor.
It's the Slade disclaimer.
I do
heard
not
a
approve
rumor
of
that
rumors.
at the airport in David, they're going to start testing before you can enter the airport.
I actually read that on a news site, if I'm not
I
wrong.
read
yeah.
that on, I think,
Panama America, yeah.
And I can't imagine how they can do that because it's not an instant test. It's not like that I
It's a
know of.
20-minute test.
It's probably the quick test.
It's the antigen.
It's a quick test, but
Yeah.
you're still
You
going to
get
have
really
people
quick.
line up outside for 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's
But it's easy.
that's true. That's true too. Yeah, that's when Minsa came to my house a couple of times where I had to get tested at the house. They gave me 2 tests, one up each
quick,
one
yeah.
up each nostril. One was the 15-minute test,
Uh-huh.
and one was the 3
Yeah.
to 48 hour. And they
It's really quick.
yeah, and they
Yeah.
stayed there and hung out and talked to me
Yeah.
for a little while, 15 minutes or so, until they
Yeah.
said, "Okay, well you're negative,
Uh-huh.
but stay in the house for 3 days." So if they're
Yeah, but
giving,
I can't see people staying outside the airport.
well, yeah.
We have a caller in from Brasileirissimo.
Oh no! Yeah! Boom!
Hola, hola, buenos dias, Chano. Bendiciones. Good morning, my friend Chano. God bless you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hoy está um excelente dia para probar as delícias de Brasileiríssimo Pizzeria. Estamos em la calle principal em Boquete. El teléfono é 65465663. The telephone 65465663.
So get your
Open
pizza.
every day, 11 p.m. hasta 10 p.m. fuera de la cuarentena. Ahora con la cuarentena, hoy hasta las 8 de la noche tenemos delivery y también atendimiento en el salón. Y hasta las 10 puede pedir su pizza para llevar en su casa.
Uhum.
Y mañana, domingo, tiene delivery. Não pode sair na calle, pero se pode comer uma coisa diferente. Então, pida em 6546-5663.
Tomorrow,
E agora
tomorrow
temos uma
delivery.
novidade.
Uh-huh.
Sim, só no delivery amanhã. E agora temos uma novidade. Temos uma sucursal em Dolega. Então, os que vivem em Dolega, Algarrobos, em Davi, mais cerca de Dolega, podem pedir também em 6546-5663 para levar até sua casa seu pedido. Em Dolega, estamos ubicados em la calle principal, cerca de la farmácia.
Okay, in Dolega, there's a new local for Brasileirissimo over by the pharmacy. So if you can't get out, well, we can't get out tomorrow. Come in
Monday.
No, yeah, but they do deliveries on Sunday.
Oh,
Muchas gracias.
Gracias a usted. God bless you.
Yeah.
God bless you.
You the service is available tomorrow to bring you hot pizzas and chicken and
You should get a free. You
seafood.
should get a free side if you can say the name right.
Yeah, that's hard.
Brasileirissimo.
We need Bolivar to say it right for us.
Brasileirissimo.
He's over there just chuckling. He's laughing at us.
Brasileirissimo.
Brasileirissimo.
Anyway, so
Brasileirissimo.
Delicioso. Pizza delicioso.
for those that have not heard about the new curfew, the new quarantine,
Dun dun dun.
it's not my fault.
Yes, it is.
Curfew and quarantine by Dr. Shannon Tour.
It's Bolivar's fault.
It's somebody's fault, but it's not mine. The quarantine began on Friday. I know there was a lot of people confused because they thought it started Friday. It was all weekend until Monday. No, that's not true. The start date of the actual curfew began on Friday. So it was Friday from 8 p.m. till Saturday 4 a.m. Again tonight, 8 p.m. until Monday. Nobody's supposed to be going out tomorrow.
Right.
Stay home.
And a lot of people are confused about the difference between what is a quarantine
Yeah.
and what is a curfew. And
Yeah.
curfews are daily. What time do you have to be in? What time are you allowed out?
Right.
Quarantine spans more than a 24-hour period.
Kind of think of it like as being grounded. You
Right.
know? You get home from school, you're grounded.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
from 8 o'clock at night till 4 in the morning, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday,
You're grounded.
you're grounded, but you're allowed out at 4 a.m. Just got to be back in your room by 8.
Exactly.
Yeah.
From 8 o'clock on
8
Saturday.
8 p.m. Yep.
And from 8 p.m. on Saturday, you are quarantined
Yeah.
until 4 a.m. on Monday.
Monday. Yep.
Yes.
So are we
That's
allowed
it.
to walk our dogs?
No.
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 No. No.
Well, you can walk your dog in your living room. Have some paper towels.
No,
some
I can
Windex.
walk my
Around
dog in
your
my
yard.
You
backyard.
can walk your
Your
dog in your
yard,
backyard. Yeah.
yeah.
If you're on your property,
Your own property, you can do
your
it.
own property, you
Yeah.
can be out there. Yeah. And you know, it is what it is, right?
It is what it is. I think we're out of time. We're out of time.
Yes.
Bolivar?
Bolivar,
Yeah.
take it. We're out of time.
He's like, yes.
Yay.
Okay, so I'd like to thank, first of all, my engineer, Bolivar, for making the show possible.
Yay, Bolivar.
I'd like to thank Cynthia Slade for being on with us. We
My
always
pleasure.
love having you on.
I love this radio station.
Maybe you can come back next Saturday with me, too.
No.
Well, let's see. I want to thank Al Stefanelli. This has been Talking with Your Doctor on Radio Tiriki 103.3. And we will
Ciento
see...
tres punto tres.
103.3. And we will see you next Saturday, same bat time, same bat channel.